So here we go with our mechanical project. Remember, we're doing a drawing set. Now it's a little more complex. I have multiple drawings or multiple items drawn in one file, and I'm going to present them each independently on their own sheet. And in addition, for the mechanical one, we're going to do something that's called creating a block, something that you can use over and over and over again as the representation for that drawing. And so we're going to work with flanges, and I just wanted to let you know what a flange is. This that you see right here is a flange. It gets welded to a pipe, and then a flange gets welded to another pipe, and they get bolted together, and there's some sort of a sealing gasket in between the two so that whatever is flowing through this pipe is sealed within this connection. And there's many, many, many types of flanges that all have their own particular use and own particular specifications. And we're going to work with one specific type of flange. Actually, it's a set of flanges. These are all called what's called 150-pound rated, which is short for 150 psi. Okay, so these can seal 150 psi on the liquid side from the outside. And there's a whole bunch of different types that you might choose to use depending on your application. And this all gets into good design work. But right now, you just need to be able to draw them. And so we're going to choose 3 of these. A slip-on flange. You slip it onto the pipe and weld it inside and out. There's something called a blind flange, which caps off a pipe run. And there's a lap joint flange, which has a different type of a joint right here. It comes out a little bit and you weld right in there. It's just a slightly different type than a slip-on. Not very different, but a little bit different. Okay? And since these are pretty standardized, you can use one drawing in a chart to represent, if you know the dimension ID, for instance, O is the outside, and for a 3-inch, O is 7.5 inch diameter. Okay? And T, the thickness, is, where's T over here? Here's T, is 0.94 inches thick. And then this little raised face is a 1/16 of an inch. And this R, which is called the raised face, is 5-inch diameter. And then there's some holes, and it tells you about them. Okay, so the number of holes is 4, and the diameter of the hole is 0.75. And they are on a bolt circle, so if you center those holes up evenly on a circle, they would sit on a 6-inch diameter circle. So that's how you read this chart, and you're going to need to read it to be able to draw these. Okay, so if this is 6-inch from here to here, we know the radius from the center out is 3-inch. And so our goal is to create these drawings full size, because although this is a nice table that gives you the information, when you put one of these into a drawing, you probably want it to be full size. So somebody has to go and draw all these, and that somebody is you. So your job is to do a slip-on, a blind, and a lap joint and recreate this drawing. And then you're going to create the front view of it. This is called the section view. And you're going to make something called a block from the front view. Present them all on a piece of paper, each on their own sheet, and then plot it out. So let's see how to do that. The first thing to do, of course, is to get a snip of this thing so I can have my data easily at hand. There it is. And I'm going to make it easy to see so that I can find those ones really well. And then I know that I'm going to have an O, a T, an R, and I'm going to have to worry about this one and this one. Okay, so now I know what values I'm going to have to look at. Okay, so it'll be easier for me to read this if I've got this all figured out. Okay, so now it's time for AutoCAD. I'm going to do all of my steps, so I'm going to open a new one. And I have to do all of my setup that I always do. I come to the bottom and I set it up as I've been doing every single drawing that I've done so far. I don't need clean screen, so there we go. That looks pretty good. And then I use a white background as my personal preference, and I use the light. So those are my preferences, and I do my setup. And I turn off my grid, and I always check my units just to be sure, and this should be inches, decimal inches, so I'm okay. And I might want to see a little bit more precision on my decimal degrees. Okay, so there we go. I'm all kind of set. And then my other thing to do is open my mechanical, and I think I've got those ones in here. There's my mechanical exemplar. So I've got my exemplar open. I've got my drawings one, which I'm going to rename now. So I can do a save as and go find a spot for, oops, sorry about that. I got to put it in the right place. Here's my 301 fall, and I probably need a new thing. I'll stick it just in here, flanges. Okay, DC, because now I need to load things up, open drawings, and I don't want them from flanges. I want them from my mechanical, and I know I'm going to need some dim styles, and I know I'm going to need some layers, and I'm going to need a layout, and the instructions say mechanical A. So I'm going to put a mechanical A in there. And I'm going to show you more with that layout in a little while. I think I've got everything I need. I can probably close my design center so I have more room to draw. Now I'm going to I took a copy of this thing already. So I'm going to do the most simple one, which is my blind flange first. And I'm just going to draw this. And I see that it's mostly a rectangle with another rectangle. And sorry about that. I've got kind of lots going on there. And it's not a tracing. I have to draw this right. So I'll put that on my geometry layer. And it's a rectangle that is 7.5 by 0.94. 7.5 tab 9.4. Oh, my numlocks aren't working. 7.5 tab 9.4. 0.94. Let's get this right. I'm not doing a very good job on my demo here. 7.5 tab 0.94. There we go. And then there's another one that is R by 1/16. R is 4.12. 4.12 tab 1/5 16, enter. And I can move this so that my midpoint, I need to have midpoint selected. I somehow have turned off my O snaps on accident. There we go. Midpoint. So I need to go from the midpoint to the midpoint. And then I'm going to need to trim some stuff away here. Definitely need to trim that away. And then I need my holes. And I think I said that they're on a 6-inch bolt circle. So that I'm going to use the center line. Is on a radius of 3 and down. That's going to be the center line of it. That's the center line. And each one is 0.75. Each one is 0.75. So I can do, there's a lot of ways to do this, but I'm going to offset 0.75 divided by 2. I wonder if it'll let me do that. Nope. So what is 0.75? I know it in my brain, but 0.75 divided by 2 is 0.375. So I'll offset 0.375. Either direction. And then I have to realize that those two are now on the wrong layer because those were center lines and they should now be geometry lines. Here's another cool thing. If I want to lengthen that so it looks more like a center line, I can go L-E-N, lengthen, enter, D-E, delta by a given amount. And I'll do it like 0.25 inches. Now I have that cool looking thing. And to get the other side, I would mirror. There we go. And my last thing to do is put in a hatch. And I'll put my hatch on probably, I'll use, I think I just need a new layer. I think I'll have to put in a hatch layer. So I'll make a new layer called hatch. And once I've got that, I'll probably make it up and see, there we go. I need to get my line weights right. And there we go. Always something to work on as you're setting these things up. So my hatch, I'll make them 0.014 fairly light. I'll set my current layer for hatch, and I'll do my hatch. And I'll just use this ANSI 31. That's a very typical general hatch that you can use. And there we go. I've got my slip-on done. And so then I'll do another video to show you what to do after that.